Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive with us.
Mm.
So this time we're going to be looking at this excerpt from Feel First, Think Later. And, this book, it really jumps headfirst into the teachings of Grand Master WaXhira and this Sacred Atlantean Brotherhood. So get ready, because we're about to kind of flip the script on how we usually think about things like, logic and emotions. We're going deep into this idea that the heart is really the true seat of creation and not the head.
Yeah, that's a really cool concept. It really does challenge a lot of what we're told about logic and reason, being the main drivers of creativity.
Yeah, absolutely. There's even a quote from the book that says, "Take care of the heart and the head will take care of itself." Pretty bold statement. So what's the reasoning behind that?
Well, Waxira really sees reason as like a tool, like a map, to help you navigate, but it's not the territory itself. It's good for, analysis, taking things apart, but it's not going to really create something totally new.
So are you saying like reason has its limitations when it comes to creativity?
Exactly. Like imagine a composer, trying to write a symphony, but they're only using math formulas. I mean, you might end up with something that sounds all right, but it's not going to have that heart, that emotional depth that really connects with people.
That's a really cool analogy. It makes me think about all the times you try to think your way through a creative project.
Mm.
But sometimes the best ideas just kind of come out of nowhere. You know,
Yeah,
just pure feeling, like a burst of inspiration.
exactly. And the book uses all these examples of like artists creating from passion, leaders being driven by courage and hope. All of that's coming from a place of deep emotion, not just cold, hard logic.
That's really interesting because, we usually put people on a pedestal for being these brilliant minds. Like they have
Yeah.
these incredible logical thinking abilities. But from this perspective, it sounds like it's actually their feelings that are driving all those innovations.
You're getting at a really important point. The book doesn't say that reason is bad or anything. It just kind of puts it in a different light. It says that reason that's not balanced out by feelings can become like a double-edged sword.
Can you explain that a little more? What are some of those downsides of just relying on reason?
Well, think about it. People can get really boastful. They think their intellect makes them better than everyone else. And reason can also make you focus on the differences between people, leading to division and conflict, instead of unity and understanding.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's like when people get caught up in arguments, they lose sight of the bigger picture,
Mm,
and that human connection.
exactly. Waxira compares reason to like a scalpel. Really good for precise cuts, but you can't use it to create something completely new and whole.
So it sounds like relying too much on reason can actually cut us off from our creativity. And that deeper wisdom of the heart.
That's the main idea. And what's really cool is that feelings are all about connection. They bridge that gap between you and other people. And it creates empathy and understanding. It connects us to the universe, which is something we'll talk more about later. And that connection through feelings, that's where real creativity comes from, not just in art, but in all parts of life. This idea of feeling connecting us to something bigger, like the universe, it's a big part of Waxira's teachings.
That's really interesting. So what does the book say about that connection? And how do feelings make that happen?
Well, it goes into this idea that feelings aren't just something you experience inside. They're like a way to tap into this universal energy or consciousness. Think about it. Have you ever felt that sense of awe when you look at the stars? Or felt really connected to nature?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Those moments always feel so powerful and
Yeah.
huge.
Right. And those feelings of awe and wonder and connection, that's your heart reaching beyond just you. It's like your emotion let you kind of resonate with the energy of the whole universe. It even connects with ideas about the divine or spiritual, things that go beyond logic and reason.
So you're saying that feeling lets us understand ourselves and our place in the universe better in a way that logic just can't.
That's the heart of it. And it's not just about feeling good, it's about experiencing all those human emotions, even the tough ones.
That makes sense. Sometimes feeling sad or angry can actually lead to some pretty deep realizations and growth.
Exactly. Those feelings are hard, but they can really change you. They make you face uncomfortable truths, let go of old patterns, and you come out stronger and more connected to yourself and others. It's about embracing being vulnerable, letting yourself feel deeply and truly. That's how we really grow.
So it's not about ignoring or hiding our emotions,
Hmm.
but learning to work with them in a healthy way
Mm.
and letting them guide our thoughts and actions.
Absolutely. The book talks about feeling before thinking. So instead of jumping into analyzing a situation or trying to make sense of it with logic, just pause and see what your emotions are telling you.
It's like trusting your gut, that inner voice that sometimes speaks louder than logic.
Exactly. Our gut feelings come from all this subconscious processing. It takes into account way more than just the facts. It taps into our emotional intelligence, our past experiences, and that deeper connection to the universe we were talking about.
So like if we're trying to solve a problem, we might feel uneasy about a solution, even if it seems logical.
Exactly. That unease could be a sign to look at other options, to dig a little deeper, and see if there's a solution that feels right and makes sense logically.
That's fascinating. It's like adding a whole new tool to our problem-solving kit. It's not just logic and reason, but also this intuition that comes from feeling.
You got it. Now let's think about relationships. How often do we try to analyze if we're compatible with someone, looking at all the pros and cons, like love is some kind of math problem?
Oh, all the time. But deep down, we know that relationships are way more complicated than that.
Right, we're drawn to certain people, we feel those sparks, and it doesn't always make logical sense. Love, attraction, connection, those are all about feeling.
So are you saying we should just throw logic out the window when it comes to relationships?
No, not at all. Reason is still important for figuring out the practical stuff in a relationship, but we shouldn't ignore the power of feeling, those gut feelings that draw us to certain people and guide us in matters of the heart.
So it's about finding that balance where the head and the heart work together. Reason helps us with the practical stuff, and feeling gives us the passion and depth that makes relationships really meaningful.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that both are important for building strong and lasting connections. Now imagine using that same feel first, think later approach for bigger challenges.
Like,
Think about global issues like poverty, climate change, or social injustice. We can try to solve these problems with just logic and reason, creating policies and strategies and new technology. But without a deep sense of compassion, our efforts might not be enough.
I see what you mean. You can have all the facts and figures about climate change, but it's that feeling in your gut when you see how it's affecting the planet. That feeling of urgency, that's what really makes you want to take action.
Exactly. It's that emotional investment that drives our commitment,
Yeah.
our willingness to make sacrifices, to really make a difference. And that emotional fuel comes from feeling.
This whole feel first, think later idea is making me rethink everything. It's like a whole new way of looking at the world.
It's definitely a shift in perspective, and it's not always easy. We're so used to putting logic and reason first. But I think there's so much power in listening to our hearts.
This has been incredibly insightful. But how do we actually get better at feeling first, thinking later? Does the book give any practical advice on how to tap into that heart-centered wisdom? Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Our exploration of feel first, think later has been really eye-opening. It's made me completely rethink the roles of reason and emotion.
Yeah, it's amazing how just changing your perspective a little bit can unlock whole new ways of seeing ourselves and the world.
Absolutely. We've been talking about feeling before thinking, the power of emotions to connect us, and even how to use this in problem solving and relationships. But how do we actually learn to lead with our hearts? Does the book give us any practical steps?
It does. WaXhira talks about several practices to help us connect more deeply with the wisdom of the heart. And one of the simplest but most powerful is gratitude.
Gratitude comes up a lot in personal development.
Yeah.
But how does that fit into this feel first, think later idea?
Well, gratitude isn't just a positive emotion. It's a way to shift your whole energy. When you focus on what you're grateful for, you move from a place of lack to a place of abundance.
I see how that change in mindset would be important. If you're always focused on what's missing, it's hard to feel inspired or creative.
Exactly. And gratitude isn't just about thinking thankful thoughts. It's about feeling that deep appreciation in your heart. That heartfelt emotion opens you up to new possibilities and helps you see the world in a new way.
So it's like gratitude connects our thoughts and feelings, creating a more balanced relationship between the two.
That's a great way to put it. And the more you practice gratitude, the more natural it becomes to live from a heart-centered place.
Okay, so gratitude is key. But what about this idea of feeling before thinking? Sounds good in theory, but how do we actually do that in our everyday lives?
Well, you have to start by becoming more aware of your emotions. Instead of reacting without thinking or immediately trying to explain your feelings away, try just pausing and noticing what's coming up inside you.
That sounds like mindfulness, which I've been trying to do more of lately.
You're right, mindfulness is super important. By paying attention to your emotions without judgment, you create space for them to guide your thoughts and actions, instead of controlling them.
So it's not about letting our emotions run wild. It's about acknowledging them, understanding them, and then choosing how we want to respond.
Exactly. And this leads to another important practice, embracing vulnerability. really feeling requires you to be open and honest with yourself, even about those messy, uncomfortable emotions.
Yeah, that can be tough. We're so used to hiding those negative emotions, putting on a brave face and pretending everything's fine.
It's true. But when you push those feelings away, you're actually disconnecting from a part of yourself. Those so-called negative emotions often hold valuable lessons.
So how do we get better at embracing vulnerability instead of resisting it?
It starts with self-compassion. Instead of judging yourself for feeling sad or angry or scared, try to acknowledge those feelings with kindness and understanding.
That makes sense. It's like treating ourselves with the same empathy we'd give a good friend.
Exactly. And remember, embracing vulnerability isn't about dwelling on negativity. It's about creating space for genuine emotional expression, which leads to healing and growth.
This has been so helpful, but one thing I'm still stuck on is the idea of silencing the mind. My mind is always racing with thoughts. How do you even begin to quiet all that noise?
I know, it definitely takes practice, and it doesn't happen overnight. But there are tools that can help. Meditation is one of the best ways to find stillness and quiet the mind.
I've tried meditation before, but I always feel like I'm doing it wrong.
There's no right or wrong way to meditate. The key is to find a practice that works for you and stick with it. Some people like guided meditations, while others find peace in just focusing on their breath.
So it's about finding what works for you and keeping at it, even if it's hard at first.
Exactly. And silencing the mind isn't about getting rid of thoughts completely. It's about learning to observe them without letting them carry you away.
So you're creating space between yourself and your thoughts, so
Yep.
you don't just react to every single one.
Exactly. And in that space, you can start to hear the whispers of your heart, that intuitive wisdom that's always there for you.
This whole conversation has been a real deep dive. I feel like I'm starting to understand the power of feel first, think later.
It's a powerful idea. And like we've talked about, it's not just about personal growth. It's about creating a world that's more compassionate, connected, and fulfilling.
Absolutely. So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the one thing you want our listeners to take away from this exploration of feel first, think later?
Remember, reason can give you answers, but your feelings are what truly give you life. Embrace that wisdom from your heart and let it guide you to a life that's more real and meaningful.
That's beautiful. And listeners, I want you to think about this. What would change in your life if you started to feel first, think later? How could that shift affect your relationships, your work, your creativity, even how you approach global problems? Keep exploring, keep diving deep. Join us next time for another fascinating adventure on the Deep Dive.